before we go like way too far down a tangent, I think the idea of a Arch, maybe not an Arch GUI, but an Arch installer, that's not just like the manual installation process, is slowly starting to change. Because what was it, like a year ago? Was it a year ago? Maybe a bit less than that. I don't know. I've lost all track of time in the past couple of years. Arch brought in Arch install, the script to sort of automate the installation process, which obviously isn't a GUI installation, but it is a step towards a much simpler installation.
Yes.
I don't think there's ever going to be a point where the main Arch project fully endorses having a GUI. I don't think that fits with the goals.
No, I think it's in the works because, like, someone, if you look at the Arch ISO's issues, I talked about this recently. Someone has suggested a GUI, like not in GUI installer as in Calamares, but having a graphical user interface like Plasma, and then you have a browser like Firefox, because the official installer has Lynx, which is a TUI installer.
Right.
But you have when you are on the TTY, you have to navigate, press Alt and your arrow keys back and forth between the window you're installing on and then the one that has Lynx up and running. And like, to be honest, Lynx is not, and not just Lynx, any TUI web browser is not the prettiest, right? It's not. It's just going to render HTML.
It's functional for the Arch wiki, but the other problem is you don't have something like Tmux, so you have to jump back and forth. You can do it on one device.
Yeah. So if you have like just Plasma running, let's just ignore Calamares for the moment. If you have something like Plasma, and then you have a terminal window, and then you have a browser like Firefox, you could just spawn these two on one screen, and then it allows copy pasting of commands. Let's say you want to discourage that as well. It's fine. You can type the commands out, but you have everything on one screen.
So what you're saying is like bootstrapping it from a graphical environment rather than the TUI environment.
Yeah, so that is something that is suggested on the Arch ISO's issues right now. And the really positive thing about it is that David, who is the maintainer of Arch ISO, he hasn't said no to it, right? So I think this is a very positive thing to consider. I believe that like in a couple of maybe months, we could have potentially a separate profile, because it makes sense to keep the TUI interface, the TTY.
Yeah.
It should be there, right? Because that's what Arch Linux is, and that's how it all started.
Well, it wouldn't be out of the ordinary to add an extra mode into the installer, because a while back they added in the what was it? They added in features from, I can't remember what the project was called, but it was a installer for visual impairment. The project, that original project is dead now.
It's called Braille TTY.
Yeah. They had like a separate mode for that, and I think it had a screen reader and a couple other things built into that mode as well.
Yes, you could boot up with either just the TTY and then one with the screen reader. Yes. Yeah. So what has been suggested on the issue is that basically you have the main profile, which is the TTY, which is for the TTY installer, and then you have a separate profile which is with some kind of GUI. So now the thing is, we have a lot of options on Linux. You have someone likes Plasma, someone likes GNOME. My idea is basically just get something that's running on X or Wayland. It doesn't have to be something really fancy. You just need to spawn a terminal window and should be able to spawn some kind of some kind of web browser, and you're good to go. So a separate profile makes sense. So one of the things that I kind of propose to Levante is that if part of Arch Linux GUI could be made official, so that's the whole conversation was about. Like, I have a lot of stuff from the AUR which shouldn't be there, and then this is not vanilla Arch Linux and this and that. So if I have to make the project, if I have to try to make the project official, then I have to make certain changes, which obviously requires removing all of the theme settings, customizations, everything.
Yeah.
And then removing all of the AUR packages, including the AUR helper. That's also not allowed. And then obviously removing Calamares.
Right.
So that's one way I could make ALG into an official project. But the only caveat here is that I would have to convince everybody in the team to convince them that my method of doing this is what should be adopted. And yeah, so the reason I decided to discontinue is because I know that since so many years this has been a 50-50 opinion whether a GUI installer should exist or not exist. I know that someone in the team would veto this out, right? So all the legwork that I would do to even like try to make this official, I don't think it would like be worth the effort it would require to just do it, because at the end someone says that no, this idea just doesn't fit in the philosophy, because when we're talking about Arch we have to talk a lot about philosophy, right? So it doesn't fit this philosophy or that philosophy, then
right,
all the work is waste basically.
Yeah, that makes sense. I would love to see like an official like Arch. I don't know how, like, I understand not wanting to use Calamaris because that brings it a bit too close to things like Manjaro, and maybe they don't want to have a fully automated graphical installation, but at least having that graphical environment. I don't think Wayland, just because of the NVIDIA problem, but
yeah, absolutely.
you would have to do it on Xorg, which that's fine. It wouldn't be out of the ordinary for the Arch installer to ship extra things that don't get shipped with vanilla Arch. For example, it uses ZSH, so also shipping extra things, it's not that weird. They'll just get they won't end up being a part of the thing you install at the end anyway.
Exactly.
I
And
think
if you want to if you want to worry about infra at the end, what you can do is keep the official Arch installer, which is the TTY, obviously, to get it from whatever mirrors you have right now. And the rest of the ISOs, let's say you want to offer GNOME, Plasma, and XFCE, or maybe just one, you can probably provide it via SourceForge, OSDN, or you don't even have to like spend extra for infra. Like all of these things can be taken care of like pretty easily. So like infra isn't an issue. I think it's more of the philosophical thing that exists with the
there's the whole idea of keep it simple, stupid, and things like that, where I think if it was going to become an official project, you'd need to have support within the team before you took it on, just in case someone did come along and say this isn't going to work. If you already have that initial support from at least some members, then that gives you a bit of extra, I guess, leeway to push that forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you happen to have those the links to those issues or know what the issues were called, can you just send those to me afterward? I would actually love to look at those.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, by the way, Arch ISO 170, but I'll send you the links, no problem.
Yeah, no problem. Awesome.